On landscape design projects of any size, there are always challenges, but big projects like this one often present even more challenges. One that we had here was a downhill drainage swale that we needed to control the erosion in. So in this instance, we used a dry creek bed. But that was not the only challenge that we faced on this project. This stone arch that serves as the entrance to the house and the forecourt is inspired by the stone arch at the Swanee Cemetery, which is about the same size in proportion, also covered with wisteria, but we made a conscious choice here to use our native wisteria. This property sits right on the edge of the mountain and backs up to pristine woodland, so we didn't want to take a chance with the Japanese or Chinese forms of wisteria that are so capable of escaping into the wild. So we used Wisteria frutescens amethyst falls, which is one of the cultivars of our native species, one of our native species. The thing that I love about this plant is that it's less aggressive, so it's easier to maintain its size and shape on this arch, and it flowers more than once a year. We get a big flush of bloom in the spring like we see now, and again 2 or 3 times during the summer we'll have a smaller flush of repeat flowering. One of the most spectacular shows of the year happens right here at the front of the house. The iris are just coming into bloom now. We're not quite at peak, but we're close. And in another week or so, this will be a 200-foot long river of iris. We have 3 species in here. Iris versicolor, actually we have 2 species, Iris versicolor, Iris virginica, and then flowering right in front of me, a cultivar of Iris virginica called Contraband Girl. And I chose these because these are water-loving iris, and we have a space here at the front of the house that stays damp all the time. So this was the perfect plant as a solution to a wet place. One of the big challenges in any garden this day and age, whether you're in the city or whether you're in the country, are animals. We have deer, raccoons, chipmunks, voles, you name it, especially up here on the mountain. We have all kinds of challenges, but one of the biggest is deer. And we learned our lesson early on. So you see cages around all of our smaller trees, and that is to keep the bucks from rubbing their antlers when they're trying to shed them in the fall. We didn't do that early on, and we learned a hard lesson. We lost some trees, and these trees that are 2 or 3 inches in caliper, that's the perfect size for them to hook their antlers around and rub up and down trying to shed those late in the fall. And they can really do very serious damage in a very short period of time. One of the many challenges of this site was the steep slope on the back side of the house. We wrestled with a number of ways to sort of alleviate that and make this house feel like it wasn't just perched on the ledge of the mountain, but was actually kind of growing up out of it. And the solution to that problem was this, what ended up being one of our favorite features, this large 3-tier terrace that takes you from the main level of the house down to the level of the garden without having a 12 or 15-foot drop-off at the back of the house. We regraded this. We planted thinking that we were basically in a drier area that would need irrigation. And about a year into the planning and planting, this became a wet area. We have a little wet weather spring that seeps out from under the terrace. And so our original planting did not work. We moved many of the plants. Unfortunately, we lost a few. And we have now come back in and replanted plants that will tolerate having wet feet, like the Virginia sweet spire. We even have some water iris growing up here. It's wet enough throughout the season that we're able to grow iris that normally would be found on riverbanks. And I even have some true bog plants growing up along these edges like marsh marigold. So in this particular area, when we were faced with a challenge, we had to rise to that challenge and find something that would really work. One of the really important things in this garden was to take advantage of all of these sweeping vistas and views that we have here. From every point on the property there is something to see, and we really tried hard to take advantage of that. And then again, on the list of challenges here on the property, about a year ago we had a big windstorm, and we had one of our largest trees come down, and in a very fortuitous move by Mother Nature, she laid it down right across the end of the garden without hitting anything else. And we've decided not to take the tree out, but to just let it be the end point to a beautiful natural garden. One of the final challenges we faced in designing this garden was to create a sense of privacy, because while we are up here on top of the mountain, we do have neighbors on either side. So we created evergreen screening with arborvitae, magnolias, Nellie R. Stevens hollies, and I think we've really created a sense of privacy. We also had to maintain those other challenges that we faced with wet areas, with water moving on the property. We are on the side, on the lip of the mountain up here, so we have a lot of water movement, and we had to address all of those challenges, and I hope that we've done that in an effective way.
For inspiring garden tours, growing tips, and garden projects, visit our website at volunteergardener.org or on YouTube at the Volunteer Gardener channel, and like us on Facebook.